It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Today on CityCast Madison. Madison is alive with the sound of birdsong. That's because we are in peak season for spring bird migration. Come on home, birdies. You may not realize this, y'all, but we live on one of the best places on the continent to experience their homecoming. So we asked Dexter Patterson, aka the Wisco birder and co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin, to tell us about the migration so far, how to make the most of it, and for an insider scoop on his brand new podcast focused on bird joy. It's Tuesday, May 21st. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Dex, what's good? How's the bird word?
You know, this time of year, the word is robust. I will say that. It is.
Sick.
This is the time of year for the birds, you know.
Yeah. And you're the Wisco birder, self-proclaimed but community verified. You are a fan favorite. Tell us, what exciting adventures have you been up to this spring already in our region?
What's really cool is during spring migration, you really don't have to go anywhere, which is kind of cool because they're like coming through here. And we're lucky in the state of Wisconsin, here, right, in Madison, or our friends in Milwaukee, or all over the state. Like, we're one of the best places to view birds during the migration. So honestly, just being in Dane County right now is just kind of, I would say, a warbler wonderland.
A warbler wonderland. That's a good practice. That's so
Say
good
that
behind
5
the
times
mic.
fast, you know?
Warbler wonderland. Warbler, yeah. Well, I mean, we're hearing the sound of music. We don't actually even have to go that far to experience them. I love that.
Yeah.
But, you did the Great Wisconsin Birdathon with the
Yeah.
bird flock, the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. How did that go? Like, what were the standouts there?
So every year we've been doing it the last few years. The Birdathon is the one time a year we kind of fundraise, but we partner with the Natural Resources Foundation to raise money for birds, but also our club, which is really cool. So we go out and we record how many birds we see in this 24-hour period, and people can pledge to donate a specific amount of money for how many species we see that day, or they can just make a one-time donation or whatever they feel like they want to do.
I didn't know about that. I've got to think about that next time for donation.
Yeah, it's fun because
That's fun.
It's just like this unique opportunity to not only bird and do a lot of birding. So we were up there May 4th on the Milwaukee lakefront and just going to different areas in Milwaukee County. So we were at Warnemont Park in Cudahy. We actually took a trip to a place called the Lion's Den Gorge, which is like 40 miles away from Warnemont where we were, because there was this report of this really rare bird that day, a varied bunting. And it was the first time it's ever been to our state. So
First time ever. Where is it normally? Where's its habitat?
That bird is not supposed to be anywhere near us, which is kind of crazy. But if you look it up, Bianca, it's really, really beautiful. It's blue and purple and like got these rufous colors all over it. And if you've ever seen an indigo bunting.
Oh my God, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's gorgeous. It looks like
ridiculous.
An ink pen, like black ink when, the light shines on it. It's red and blue and purple. Like, oh wow, it's really
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I told people, it's like, if you've ever seen an indigo bunting, it's like an eccentric indigo bunting. has a lot of
So
style.
did you see the majestic creature?
Yeah, so we made
You
it,
did?
and yeah, so multiple people in our group were able to see it. A couple people got some images of it. So that was a pretty amazing find, to just say that, to see something like that during the birdathon. That was really, really exciting. So that was the highlight of the birdathon. But we birded a couple of different places, saw almost 80 different species of birds, which was incredible.
And for those who haven't birded, and I've only done it very like twice, but the experience I did have when you're out there counting the birds, it's like, ooh, it's so exciting, especially in the beginning. I mean, it's exciting throughout, but it's like, okay, 1, 2, you know, you're getting them down, and then like you start, oh yeah, that's the same bird, the same bird. So to get to 80 species means like y'all really like that was abundance, as you said. So it's a robust time, and you know what's really lovely. I saw a story that you all at the BIPOC Birding Club are really walking the walk for community, that you all donated 20 birding kit backpacks to neighborhood centers and schools across Madison, Milwaukee. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's been something we've been working on, the birding backpack program behind the scenes for a little while, and developing some relationships with, some amazing binocular company like Knox Provisions to donate all the binoculars in the bags, which was really cool. One for an adult, one for a kid. So you could go out together and experience the birds together. David Sibley, one of the most famous birders in the world, we have his birding guide in the kit. And then our co-founder, Jeff Galligan, and then our Madison area coordinator, Sean Radcliffe, they created little guides for areas specific to all the community centers and the different places that we donated. So like if we gave a bag to Northside Community Center or all these different areas, they thought about it and spent the time to put together guides and say, hey, now go explore this place, which is near here, which I thought was really cool, which kind of took it to that next level of, yes, you have all these tools that you get to, go birding, but guess what? Now you know where to go. And now you know that you have places within blocks for some people. And that was one of the things for me when I first started birding and really kind of exploring. You really don't realize how much stuff is around you. And that was a big part for us, is we wanted to let people know, like, no matter where you are in this city, like I said, kind of right now, the birds are coming to us. It's spring migration. But at the same time, there are places that are near us, that are on bus lines, that are accessible to everybody across this city, if you just pay attention and look around a little bit and make that choice to go explore. So that was really important. We wanted to arm people with information and the tools to go be able to go birding, but also let you know that, hey, you have some spots really close to you.
Wow. And do any of the Madison schools or neighborhood centers stand out to you? Any that you remember that some of those kids went to?
I mean, honestly, we kind of went all over the city, and willing to partner with more libraries, more community centers, anybody that needs them. But they were all excited. That was the common thread when I talked to Jeff and I talked to Sean. When they're dropping off the bags, like, everybody was really excited, and if you look at the news came out and they dropped a story about it, and you see the dad and his son, you see some of the images of people using the bag, and you see this black man and a little black boy out in the woods with their knocks and their field guides, and they're exploring, and it's beautiful. That was the point of it, is we just want everybody in our city to know, like, whether they know what birding is, whether they don't, we want them to know that this is for you, and like, this is an option. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. His name is Jason Hall. He's a friend of mine, and he runs a birding club out in Philadelphia, and also black man leading a birding club. Shout out to In Color Birding Club out in Philadelphia.
By the way, don't think I don't know he's your co-host for your new podcast that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, but when I think about Jay, like, they're doing the work, and you think about people that are just doing the work. So yeah, shout out to them.
Shout out to Jay. It's so beautiful. It makes me think of a memory I had with my dad. Just, it wasn't birds, but it was rocks. And we were looking for geodes together, and just sharing that love of the natural world. Those moments are priceless, and they're free.
Yep.
Outside of for birding, the binoculars, those tools that you guys are providing. But after that, it's just a landscape of beauty. So I cut you off. I got too excited because I'm excited about your new show. You have a podcast of your own now, and I'm friggin' thrilled. And it's called the Bird Joy Podcast. And that is exactly what it is. And your co-host is Jason Hall, the man you're talking about from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. It's funny because we met online during Blackbirders Week in 2020, and kind of just been, how you meet people online and like you can tell that that's my people, and we stayed in contact for a couple years. And then in October of 2022, Christian Cooper organized a Blackbirders retreat. And Christian, for those of you who don't know, was the Blackbirder that was targeted in Central Park by that crazy lady, Amy Cooper. No relations to Christian, obviously, but targeted in Central Park because he told her to put her dog on a leash, because you're not supposed to have dogs off leash in the ramble. And he's just bird watching. Good thing for him, he recorded it because that situation could have ended really badly. But it sparked a movement all over the country. Blackbirders Week, I think just getting people of color outside as a whole. And it really kind of started this conversation of people talking about equity outdoors and things like that. But yeah, it led to Blackbirders Week and just this huge movement. And Christian invited a bunch of us from all over the country to kind of gather together in October of 2022 to collaborate and brainstorm and think about where does this movement go next. And Jason was my roommate down there, which was kind of cool because we had already developed a relationship prior to meeting in person. And then when we met in person, it was like, I was like, this is it. I feel like I've known you my whole life. You know what I mean? And that event, him and I just started thinking about how can we collaborate? And we've kind of stayed in contact, and we exchange numbers, we text, we let each other know what's going on. I'll just randomly text him birds I'll be finding out in the wild, and he gets excited because when you meet very few people that get excited or passionate about you the same level as you. Jason's one of those people for me, so he gets
his
it.
Tribe.
He gets it when I send him these random, lifers. So a lifer is the first time you see a bird. And I'm texting them, lifers or birds that we're seeing out in the field right now. And he gets excited. He does the same to me. So shout out to him. We were down there and we just said, we got to do something. And a couple times we said, what about a podcast? And kicked around the idea for a little while, and then we finally just decided to make it happen. And spring migration was a huge motivating factor for us because we were like, you know what? We know bird nerds all over the country are going to be out, going to be excited. So we intentionally decided to drop during spring migration so we could be a resource and motivation for people to get outside. And what a better time to do it than right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
Your brain needs support, and new Ollie Brainy Chews are a delightful way to take care of your cognitive health. Made with scientifically backed ingredients like Thai ginger, L-theanine, and caffeine, Brainy Chews support healthy brain function and help you find your focus, stay chill, or get energized. Be kind to your mind and get these nootropic chews at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
you guys have such good coverage. Like, it's such an offering to the community here and beyond, as you said, nationally. I saw you have an episode about how to start birding. You know, some of the tips we try to ask you about, you know, crucial details on picking out the right binoculars, how to find tools for your area for bird identification, and talking about your guys' journeys. What's so exciting about the club that you're a part of, and I was able to, you know, go out once, like hiking in a group, is the community and not being alone in your joy. And you're spreading the joy with this podcast. What do you most hope comes out of this endeavor?
For us, that why is really important. And I think ultimately, I was going to mention this earlier. Jason was saying that in a recent conversation that we had on the podcast where he said, you know what, I hope I can leave here and every Black boy, brown boy, every person of color, every ally, every differently able person in the world knows that birding is for them, right? Like that's kind of like that's our driving factor, is just to continue to spread bird joy, because if we can spread bird joy, hopefully we can get more people to start paying attention to the birds. Like, man, these two dudes are like really nerding out about birds every week on this podcast and having a blast doing it. Like, maybe I should try this. Yes, you should. Yes. Right? Like that's kind of like the ultimate goal for us, is to tell stories and tell stories specific to the BIPOC community, tell stories about being out in nature, birding, with people that may have never birded before, and understand that, like, it doesn't matter what level you're at, just get outside, just show up, take the shot, as Jason said, and understand that, like, the community aspect of it, I know for some people, it could be overwhelming, like they don't know what they need. It could be scary, especially for people in the BIPOC community. Outdoor experiences are intimidating and scary for many folks, and having people that can guide them through that and set them up for success. And, you know, that safety in numbers is a real thing. You know, when people show up and maybe they've never done something before and they see 20, 30 other people, and maybe half of them have also never done this before, it changes the way you feel about it. Like, all right, I'm not all alone. Like, I always say, we all start at zero somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, right. You got to show up and try it. Eventually, that won't be your first time. The next time you come back, you won't be a newbie anymore, right? It won't be your first time anymore. So we do our best to try to make that initial experience and the ones after that welcoming. Hopefully people get the answers that they're looking for. If not, like, the guidance to get those answers. But ultimately, just giving them a positive experience in the outdoors is the ultimate goal. And then we're using that podcast to tell those stories.
Yeah, and I feel so grateful that you've come on our show the couple times that you have. I always leave totally energized, really excited about birding. And the last time we talked, I have to bring this up. Last month, there was Fat Bird Week, which I'm sure you saw. And the winner of one of those birds was something you and I played a game, and we renamed some birds that have racist histories. And the winner was the hefty horned lark.
The horned lark.
And it was the one that looks like his face looks like a Wu-Tang Clan symbol. Wu-Tang Clan, you know. And I was like, that was the winner.
The horned lark is such a cool looking bird.
Yeah, and that whole week, I understand, is for conservation. Like, it is about protecting the birds. So there are lots of things that are happening in this space. Because it is spring birding time, how would you characterize this moment as robust? Are there any other ways you would describe spring birding in our area specifically, what it's marked by, like birds that you mentioned, the warbler, that are very abundant, like things to look out for people who might be getting out?
You know, what I think is really, what it really happens to people is, like, winter the chill of winter has retreated, right? And
truly, it got like 85 degrees.
We're out of fake spring.
Heck?
We're out of fake spring, right?
Yeah, the real deal.
There's no snowstorm coming in a couple days. You know how, like, we always get, like, that couple weeks where you're like, spring is here, and then winter's like, No. That few weeks we talked about that on the podcast too. That's fake spring. Right? That's fake spring, get you all excited. But when Wisconsin actually transforms, right, the bird life responds. And that's like that trigger when you start seeing the red-winged blackbirds coming back. That's kind of like that first sign. When you start seeing them and hearing them, they usually arrive during fake spring, by the way, right? They're some of the first to arrive. But once you start to see them and you start hearing them, you know spring is pretty close. And then next, the cardinals start singing. They're not quiet anymore, just chirping in the bushes. They're actually going up into the trees and they start singing. The house finches start singing, right? And this all is like in that early fake spring time. But so you start hearing and seeing the signals that spring is coming, which is really, really cool. And I think after all that cold and all that, like we just start getting excited. I think this is why spring migration is so exciting, is because, you know, especially for us folks here in Wisconsin, winter is long. You know, like, and we just get excited, like we're looking for any type of hope, right? Like spring is coming, yes. Like I'm so over this winter.
Yeah.
But whether you're a novice or you're a seasoned birder, like the state as a whole, no matter where you live, is just great for birds and birding. And we have places all over the Badger State where you can enjoy. In Madison, specifically Dane County, we have some amazing places. You know, some of my favorites, obviously, I work on campus, so I love the UW Lakeshore and Picnic Point. Absolutely love going birding at Picnic Point. You just have everything. You have the lakes, so you get the shorebirds, you get the waterfowl coming through, you get the warblers because they also have a lot of old growth forests and different trees, and they have the biocore prairie. Like they literally do such a good job maintaining the natural habitats that these birds need, that area is just abundant. But all over the state, you know, we have Horicon National Wildlife Refuge, which is the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the United States. So when we're thinking, and that's like 35 minutes away from Madison, not too far away. And like, it's one of those places where you show up, Bianca, and you're like, where am I? Like, this is so magical, right? Like, it's so beautiful. And you just like, it does take your breath away, where you're just like, wow, like this is really cool. We talked a little bit about the Milwaukee lakefront. I mean, all the amazing parks that they have up and down that lakefront. You're talking about a great lake, amazing flyway for birds. So Milwaukee, when we're talking about warblers and migrating birds, that area is just always booming. One of the reasons we do our birdathon in Milwaukee is because of that.
And I saw y'all have a couple of events coming up for the BIPOC flock. One of them including the Badger Army Ammunition Plant, which is closer to where I grew up. I didn't realize just how prolific it is for birds, for bird watching in specific.
Yeah, that's kind of a new thing. You know, they've been doing some work at that area for a while now at the Badger Army Ammunition Plant in the Sauk Prairie Recreation Area.
Kind of remediation.
Yeah, and it's like the last couple years they've been kind of reaching out really in relation to like the birds that are there. And, you know, when you're protecting habitats, it might take some time, but eventually the birds return, which is kind of cool. So having the opportunity to come out and check that out. Maybe we'll see a Bell's Vireo, which is a bird that they've been losing a lot of habitat, but it's one of those birds that we can see out there. Maybe a Dick Sissel, grassland birds and different things. So we're excited to see what they've done out there and just enjoy what happens. You know, sometimes we go looking for something, maybe we don't see it, but we see something else. That's the attitude I take when it comes to birding.
Well, you know, I hope even though you have your own podcast now, you'll still come grace us with some bird word. It's so dope that you're doing the Bird Joy podcast. You're an incredible storyteller. And, you know, before we let you go, I saw a note on one of your episodes that you were talking about how to generate good bird juju. Will you drop a couple tips for us on that before we let you go?
Yeah, Jason, you know, we were talking about how we nerd out and like how we bird differently. You know, like there's this stigma or this misconception, I should say, that like you need to like be like in stealth mode, like crawling and like barely breathing and so quiet when you're in the woods that like you better not make a noise. You know what I mean? Like you better be quiet out here. And like we don't get down like that. You know, we much rather like be out there, you know, respecting, honestly, the birds. Ultimately, the bird is what matters to us the most. So like, but I promise you, the bird does not care if I laugh or I get excited when I see it. It's not going to hurt the bird's feeling. It's not going to disturb its habitat. It's not going to make the bird like freak out like I'm a threat to it. Like, I think if anything, the world runs on energy. And if you're happy, I feel like that energy flows out into the world. And there's a reason that the Wisco birder sees so many birds, right? Like I feel like that the energy, the bird joy that emanates from your boy when I'm in the woods attracts the birds and doesn't make them feel threatened or anything like that. I understand bird behavior from observing them and understanding what I can or can't do. And so yeah, to the people out there that think you need to just be so quiet all the time when you're out birding, that's just not true. Have some fun in the woods and put that energy out there. Let that bird joy flow. And
yes,
you know?
hashtag bird joy.
Yeah.
Dex, thank you so much for giving us the bird word. We just love you.
Happy birding.
That's Dexter Patterson, the Wisco birder. He's co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin and co-host of the new pod, the Bird Joy Podcast. If you want to check out his new show or find more information about the Badger Ammunition Plant event we mentioned, that's on June 8th, by the way, and requires registration. Head to our show notes for some links. In other news, we've got an ask for ya. We would love to know how you think we're doing. We've got our annual CityCast audience survey. It's a 6-minute web survey, and anyone who takes it will be eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card and some CityCast Madison swag. So the link is at citycast.fm/survey. We'll also drop that right in our show notes for easy access. And if you did it last year, we still want you to fill one out. New year, new data. Please and thank you. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with the most observant person in your life? They'd love birding. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take flight.